Hi guys, it's me Paula and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to do a bit of a get ready with me and a chat just about all the royal stuff that's been going on at the moment. Yeah, so how's everybody doing? How's everyone's January going? I was hoping everybody'd had a lovely Christmas. I'm just going to put some over here. Christmas and New Year. Enjoyed themselves and been back into the January mayhem and getting back into fitness and stuff like that. Yeah, so basically I am considering going back into Slimming World. I have been for a while, considering. I need to shift the Christmas weight. And I think because I've been planning going back to Slimming World, weirdly enough, I've been like kind of eating more probably. But the weird kind of idea that, oh, if I'm going to be going back to Slimming World anyway, I'll shift it later on. And then I think I've overindulged at Christmas, so I know I've put on a little bit of weight. So I think I can't go back until after the end of January because I'm going away to Glasgow for the second part of my course. I was doing this nurture-based training course down in Glasgow, which was working with children who maybe have like difficulties, behavior difficulties or confidence issues, that type of thing, and helping them become more confident. I mean, I'm a support for learning teacher. My background's in English teaching, but I've been a support for learning teacher for a long time. I went in when I was 28. I decided to go in, was it 27, 28? It was 27. I went into support for learning when I was 27, which is fairly young because most people go into support for learning later on. For some, I don't know why. But I was just really interested in working with children with sort of behaviour issues, academic issues, learning difficulties, that those different areas. And in particular, I was very interested in working with children with autism. So I do work and do a lot of work in those areas. And let me have a quick look in the mirror, see if that's all blended properly. Yeah, so I decided I'm doing a bit this nurture-based training course at the moment, and I did 2 days. I think if you've been following my videos, you saw in December I was down in Glasgow for 2 days, and then I've got my part 3 of the course, not this Friday but next. So my husband's going to be joining. It's his birthday actually, so my family are going to be babysitting my 3 kids, and my husband's going to join me on the Saturday night, and we're going to go out for his birthday. So I thought there's no point in joining Slimming World and then have a weekend where I won't be able to eat anything for his birthday. And so I thought I will wait until I'll just wait until after that. So yeah, so after that I'll be going into Slimming World, get my weight in, which is always horrible, especially the first one. At least once you know, like when you know what your weight is, I think in Slimming World, and then right, this is what I've got to work with, it'll be coming down from now on. So last time I joined Slimming World, I think it was 11.5 stone, which was my heaviest I've ever been after my little girl, and I went down to 10 stone. So my aim was to get to 9.5, but I kind of stopped going before then. So I really want to get down to 9.5 stone. That's my aim. Okay, so right, that's that done. Yeah, so anyway, I was thinking, just talking about the Meghan and Meghan and Harry. It's all been in the press recently. Obviously, they've stepped down from royal duties. Everyone's got an opinion on it. And I just thought it was very interesting to see what everyone's views on this are. I have followed things about the royal family all my life, really. Obviously I've always been very interested in history. I've always been interested in reading up about the royal family, and particularly more like the Tudor period. I quite like that side of things around the whole of Europe, looking at the whole the intrigue around royalty and that around the whole of Europe around about that, the 1600s. But I am interested again in what's happening with the royal family just now. I do think the speculation, I feel it's a very difficult one, isn't it? Everyone seems to have views on what's going on. Now, I think that what I think's interesting though is all these people that are going on about, oh, there's, it's unprecedented what's happened with them. It's unprecedented. It's never been done before. But then people forget that would be Harry's great uncle, would it be? Great uncle, Edward VIII. He abdicated. He abdicated to marry Wallis Simpson, who's also an American divorcee, and he ends up leaving to live abroad as well. He married Wallis Simpson, and they end up living abroad, and it was like a huge scandal at the time, and that's why the Queen's father, who was George VI, he took the throne. He didn't want to become king, but he took the throne. I suppose if all of you guys have seen the Queen's speech, that was all about George VI. I do feel my personal viewpoint on it is it's very mixed viewpoint. Obviously, we've got this history in the UK of the royal family. There's a lot of controversy in the UK at the moment. Actually, a lot of people, I would say, probably abroad, have this, have a lot of love of the royal family, and I have to say I really like the royal family too. But in the UK, there's quite a bit of debate on the royal family and should they be getting as much money as they do. Especially the Queen's List. There may be some people on it that people think, oh, should they really be receiving as much money as they actually are? And there are the people on the list who really shouldn't be receiving money. What do they actually do? Now, I think the royal family do provide a good service to the UK because they do bring in a lot of tourism. They do a lot of charitable work, and yeah, I mean, a lot of people come from abroad to see the royal buildings and to see see where the Queen lives and things like that. And I think actually it's a great heritage that we have here. There's a lot of countries that don't have that anymore. Having said that, I do think maybe too many people are on the list. Too many people maybe receive money when they shouldn't, and there maybe it's quite interesting that Harry and Meghan have made this decision to part ways with the royal. Well, it's like part ways, but to step down the royal duties and to move forward to live partly in the US or Canada and partly in the UK. Now, they haven't actually said they're not going to take any money at all. They said they're moving towards becoming financially independent. What that means, I don't know. Does it mean they're going to be completely independent eventually, or they are going to still take some money? I don't know. Now, my view on this actually is I think there's a lot of people very angry at the moment in the UK about this, and how dare they leave how dare they do this to the Queen? How dare they leave the UK? How dare they do this? They should have known this is their duty. I feel a bit sorry for Harry and Meghan, especially Harry in the sense that, well, both. I feel sorry for both of them. And maybe they did things the wrong way. Maybe they should have consulted with the royal family first. Possibly they were scared about the repercussions of if they did address the palace and say this is what we want to do, they might have been scared that they would have been talked out of things, talked out of leaving, because obviously the power. If you ever watch The Crown, I don't know if you watch The Crown, it's such a great series, and you get this a lot of cases where like the Queen has wanted to do things, or like Princess Margaret wanted to do things, and then they got talked out of it completely. So I do think it's almost like a bit like a political whip system, and like we have the political whips in the UK to make sure people vote in a particular way in the House of Commons. It's almost like the palace has like a political, as a royal whip system in which they have people coming and saying, oh no, you shouldn't do this, you should do that. And I do think that possibly Harry and Meghan feared that side of things, that they feared that they were going to get talked out of leaving. Now, I think as well, so I'm using this Deer palette, which is Precious Rocks. It's a really nice palette, actually. It was out about a year and a half ago, and this is what it looks like here. It's got some quite nice colours. Yeah, I think for Harry, I don't think Harry ever really wanted to have this kind of royal lifestyle. Yes, Harry and Meghan have benefited from it. Of course they have. And I mean, I know there's a lot of people saying, how dare they be so ungrateful to not appreciate, what they've got, and there's so many people give their left hand for the lifestyle that they've got, and they fly around the world, they see things, they get such a luxury lifestyle. But on the other side of it is Harry's never had a choice otherwise. This is the life he was born into, and he maybe just wanted to have a regular everyday job, and also he's been greatly affected by the death of his mother and the effect the press had on his mother. Now, I think that he's always worried very much for Meghan, and I think that's why he's been so protective over her, because and obviously now his son, Archie, they've worried really much, the effect of the press and the influence of the press on mental health, and the way that they've really dived in on Meghan. And I feel quite sorry for Meghan, because Meghan's basically, she's been very successful in her career. She's been somebody who has been independent. She got married in her late 30s. She became a mum in her late 30s. It's not, from what happened with Diana married at 19. She was a nursery nurse for a small amount of time, but she was also born into aristocracy. She was born into a certain lifestyle, and she obviously socialized with people who also were hanging out in royal circles and things like that. So she did know a little bit about it. Although, having said that, she found it very difficult living within the royal family and their expectations of what they wanted from her. Now, I do think for Meghan, she's late 30s, she's very independent. She had a website called The Tig, like a blog. She has had so much traveling experience, charitable works, and she's been so used to making her own decisions. Now, to go from that to then living within the royal family, where you have to abide by rules and protocol, and you're not supposed to wear a skirt above this length, you've got to keep your shoulders, all these rules, and she's probably been pulled up quite a lot for things. And working with staff, she's maybe used to certain life in Hollywood where things are this is done this way, this is done that way, we get up at 7, we get this done. And I think there's been criticisms in the press, she's always telling people off, she's always expecting certain things, how dare she. However, she's been in a completely different environment. You can't expect somebody who's, you could say, yes, she knew what she was getting into by marrying Harry, but she married for love, and he married for love, and he also knew what he was getting into when he married her. He knew that she was an independent working lady who's had a career, and she's lived in a completely different country. She was living in the States, and I think this expectation that she would just fall into line and become demure, and I think people always compare her to Kate, who, Kate obviously wasn't, she wasn't royalty or aristocracy, but she did grow up in a very wealthy family in the UK. So I'll just pause this. Sorry. So she grew up in a completely different environment, and I do think that there is this expectation that's too high, and she has been criticised a lot in the British press. I feel very sorry for how she's being dragged through the British press. That any somebody's left her employee, it must be because she's completely unreasonable in her expectations. How do we know that? I find this completely ridiculous that people have all these conjectures, and they don't really think things through. They don't really, they don't see the whole story. And I think that I feel very sorry for her. And I can understand why, as a young mom, as a mom, first-time mom, she wants to protect her son. She wants to, and also wants him to grow up with respect for his mom and not see all this negative stuff in the press. I mean, I remember, she was a brand new mom, and people were criticising, I don't know if they were at the races or something, and there's all this stuff in the story, Meghan doesn't know how to hold her newborn, and it's ridiculous. She may be even changing weight on one side, and somebody took a snap picture, 10-second snap, and then they decided to drag that out, to make it, a big story. And as a new mum, I mean, I'm sure every one of you who's watching who's ever been a mum, first-time mum, how damaging would that do to your confidence, that you would be so worried about you know, what people think and what if you're doing the right thing, and you know, you're so new to it yourself, and you do like worry, like, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right way? Is this the right to hold the baby? Is this the way, you know? And I think that, you know, to have all that played out in the press, played out that and that in the public eye, is so damaging for a young mom. And I just think it's completely ridiculous that the UK press would behave in that way. Um, and also, she's really unfairly, like I say, she's really unfairly compared with Kate. You know, Kate, you know, Wonder Kate, and Kate has been dragged through the press as well on occasion. But I think because Meghan is so different to Kate, that they do get negatively compared. Like Kate, you know, wears the particular type of clothes. She's very demure. And she has fitted in a lot to the traditional role of the royal family, whereas I don't think Meghan has. And you know, Meghan wants to take the royal family in a different direction. I think certain things that they did, like a colleague was mentioning to me, I do think what they did was when they did all that work in Africa a few months ago, and then they did the whole documentary and talked about their mental health and feeling very depressed and down. I think maybe they could have waited to talk about that. I think they made a mistake there, that they should have left the charity work as a focus of the conversation and the documentary, because I appreciate what my colleague said, it did take away a little bit from what the work that they were doing, by going on about their mental health. That could have been a conversation for a different time and, you know, a different platform. However, I do understand why they maybe brought it up. Okay, I'm just going to pause while I do my eyeliner. Okay, so that's me done. Yeah, so to round up, yeah, in some ways I do feel sorry for Meghan and Harry. I think they're in a very difficult position. I think they're trying to carve out a life for themselves, away from the press as much as they can. Although I think the next couple of months is going to be pretty hard for them. But I also feel sorry for the Queen. I think it must be difficult for her towards the end of her life, with so much going on in her family, you know, like with the whole Andrew thing. And, you know, she wants to obviously move forward knowing that things are sorted, that you know, that there's the tradition's going to get continued, that people are going to, but also she probably wants her, you know, children and her grandchildren to be happy. Of course she does. And I think, you know, she didn't want to be queen herself. And her father didn't want to be king, and they got kind of thrown into the light because of the actions of her uncle when he abdicated. So I think she understands this idea of royal duty, and I think she maybe finds it hard to understand how Harry could give up the royal duties, and it might just be complete flashback to what her uncle did. So it's hard. It's hard on both sides, and I think it's sad to hear. However, we obviously, as members of the public, we don't completely know, but it is sad to hear, you know, about the supposed rift between William and Harry and the two wives. Anyway, I suppose we'll get to see how things play out. Even though, like I say, in many ways it's none of our business as individuals, but you know, but I suppose it is being played out in the press. So it'll be interesting for us, I suppose, to find out what happens. I know there's supposed to be like the summit over the next couple of days between everyone to find out if there is a way forward for them. But anyway, yeah, what do you think? What have you thought about the whole thing? It'll be interesting to get different perspectives from from my subscribers and viewers from around the globe. What did you think about it? Did you have strong views either way? Do you think the royal family is an outmoded concept now? Or are you supporters of the royalty? What do you think about what went on? But anyway, thanks for getting ready with me, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.